Welcome to Ark, but we take revenge for the fallen brethren. It all began one fateful moment. Let me show you. It was at this moment that I knew I needed to take revenge for the fallen. And so, who better to get at than the Monkey King himself? He is the only one who could have caused such pain and suffering to all my innocent little monkeys. It all started with one Gigantopithecus that would take many a days to raise and many a days to make a full and fruitful army. You can even take a look at how many days it took. Halfway through this army making, I decided to make a short video to show you as to what's to come. This was the first 10. Finally, after a few days, I had raised a full army of 20, along with a Daeodon to heal them all, because they would need a lot of healing. I then took them on a rampage, killing everything in the swamp all the way to the redwood, even a little bit up to the snow north. After many a day, I finally returned, ready to see my home again after not being there for a while. I jumped back and was eager to see my creatures such as my unleveled T-Rex and my beautiful Gigantopithecus Obamna. Now it was time to grind for artifacts and tributes, which if you didn't know, to summon all the bosses I needed 15 Megalodon Teeth, 15 Megalania Venom, 15 Spinosaurs, 15 Theraclaws, 15 Thylaclaws, 3 artifacts of the Brute, 3 artifacts of the Devourer, and 3 artifacts of the Pack. I had quickly set up base outside of the artifact of the Pack and was ready to go in, until I realized I had forgotten my otter, which was needed to carry all 3 of the artifacts back to my base. So I quickly went to the redwoods and found a quick level 50, which I tamed up with 2 fish, and promptly named the Auto Zone. After making it back to the cave and entering, I have very few issues, surprisingly, other than an encounter with a few piranhas. And after searching around for a long time, I realized there was a different way that I could have gone, which was under the water, which led me straight to the artifact. After making it to the artifact, I threw out my otter and was ready to pick up all 3. After picking up the artifacts, I left quickly, as I wanted to get the artifact of the Devourer as soon as possible. After getting ready with my Gigantopithecus again, I would then make a very short trip over to the island, where I could then find the cave which led to the artifact of the Devourer. After entering the cave, I saw very few problems with any creatures at all, except for maybe a few Onyx and a few Megalania. After leaving the cave, I thought that would be the last time I was in there, but I was very, very, very wrong. After this, it was time for the artifact of the Brute, which if you didn't know, was located underwater. So I made my prepare by taming up an O2 monkey. He unfortunately did not make it after he did not fully imprint when he wanted prime meat jerky. So after this, I had my brand new O3 monkey, which I geared up and healed up and took it to the bottom of the ocean. Upon finding and entering the cave, I thought there'd be very few problems with the cave at all, until I realized I had forgotten my otter, which I needed to carry all three of the artifacts. So I went up and got my otter and brought him back down. But after coming back down, I had died and needed to tame up a new otter, which I named the Otto 2. After this, I started to breed up the newer and even more improved O4 monkey. After successfully making it to the cave and getting the artifacts, I recovered the O3 monkey and took all the artifacts and put them in the Otto 2. After this began one of the longest grinds I would have to face in this challenge, which would be grinding for every single one of the tributes from all the creatures I had mentioned before. This began in the artifact of the Devourer cave with the Megalania, which I knew were there before, and so I knew I could grind the Megalania venom rather easily. After collecting all 15 Megalania venom, I went to the Redwoods in search of Spinos and Thylacoleos, as those were two more of the tributes I needed. At this point I'd been playing for hours and I just needed a break from spending so much time in the Redwoods. But the next day it was back to the grind and I was back in the Redwoods ready to kill Spinos. After making it back to base, I put all my tributes into the tribute and artifact chest and was ready to fight the bosses, except for one thing, a good flak helmet BP. So my initial plan was to head to the central cave as it was one of the easier ones and was to grind loot that was in there. But this ended up being very fruitless. After only getting one blueprint after many hours, I geared up and went down to the deep ocean to get some deep ocean crates. But after realizing my water monkey was way too slow to travel any substantial distance around the map, I went back up and searched for another way of getting all the loot. I decided to try my hand at the hard swamp cave, which needed gas masks, so I placed down a tree tap and started collecting some sap so I could make some absorbent substrate. I also needed some polymer for a shotgun and gas masks, so I got my Moschops and leveled up all of his organic polymer levels with some sap levels, and went to the Arctic where I killed some Kairukus. After coming back to base, I made my shotgun and gas masks, but here you can see the shotgun appears to be way too overpowered, and this is because I do have my crafting setting turned up. After this, I turned on my one and only mod to make drops spawn a little quicker. And I started grinding for gunpowder and metal so I could make enough shotgun shells for my newly crafted shotgun. After making it to the cave, I ran into many problems such as Arthropleura constantly breaking my armor and finding very few drops in general. After this, I went back to Central Cave where something very weird happened to my monkey. He disappeared and I couldn't find him until I ghosted through and found him under the map in some water. As soon as I got on him, he magically teleported to the very top. After only finding 3 drops in the Central Cave, I decided to try my luck with above ground drops. I ended up getting so much loot that I would constantly have to go back and put some loot in a vault that I had made. This was the second drop-off of loot. After this, I went back to the Artifact of the Devourer cave, knowing that loot drops often spawned there, and that they were very easily seen. After waiting around for a few hours, I had finally struck gold with a beautiful flak helmet BP. And if you're curious, this is all the loot I got from all my drops. After placing down a designated smithy only for the flak helmet BP to go in, I started to go on a metal run. After a few metal runs and a lot of hide gathering, I had enough to craft every single helmet, and started gearing up all of my monkeys. After this, I had to make the trip of bringing every single one of my 20 monkeys up to the blue obelisk, which if you didn't know, was on the exact opposite side of the map from my base. After making it to the blue obelisk with every single one of my monkeys intact, I geared up by bringing every single one of my artifacts and tributes, and brought my Daeodon, which I had used to heal every single one of my monkeys. At this point, I started the boss fight, and begun to teleport. As soon as I teleported in, I had found my leader monkey, and whistled all my monkeys to the back wall as to avoid the instant death pit. After going up to the Megapithecus, I put a few rounds into it with my shotgun to lure it to all of my monkeys that were waiting in the very back. Upon deeming it was safe, I sicked my Gigantopitheci against the Megapithecus, where they instantly destroyed him. All that was left to do was to wait so I could then fight the Beta Megapithecus. After putting in the tributes, I knew that this fight would definitely take a much larger toll on my monkeys' helmets, and that I would need to prepare them after this. When I entered the arena, I went through the same steps, except this time it was different. This time, the Megapithecus had come out of his arena a little bit and was ready to fight. After getting them past the instant death pit again, I sicked my monkeys on it, expecting it to be somewhat harder, although that did not turn out to be true. Upon making it back to the island, I prepared my monkeys by repairing every single one of their helmets so that they would not break during the Alpha Megapithecus fight. After this, I finally turned on my mic for the Alpha Megapithecus fight, which, sorry, I was chewing gum, so it's a little nasty.
Wait, ready? The final boss. What I've been waiting for.
If you're curious who this is right here, this was one of my friends who was helping me with cinematic shots. He did not interfere with the fight in any way, and he did not do any damage at all.
Alright, this has been how many arc days of lead up? 71 arc days of lead up all up to this. Which is, what, 30 hours?
Upon entering the fight, I went through the same motions, whistling my monkeys to the back and luring out the Megapithecus with a few shotgun rounds. One thing this time that caught me off guard was the absolute speed of the Megapithecus. After being knocked back into the woods and whistling my monkeys on it, I ran towards it and loading in shotgun rounds and attacking with my main Gigantopithecus.
Good damage, good damage. I think I got this. He's not doing that much damage. He's only doing 600 damage. That was a lot. Wow, this was kind of easy. Oh, boom, boom. That was pretty nice. 220 element. Well, that worked out great. Oh yeah. Let's go.
If you enjoyed watching, please make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to see maybe this challenge done on the Overseer and some other maps, please let me know. Until next time, goodbye.
Let's go. That's game.